Hello and welcome to another World Cup edition of the Dream Team Professor podcast. In this episode, we're going to look at the potential top point scorers in today's fixtures, Morocco versus Spain and Portugal versus Switzerland. And then we look back at the top point scorers and key talking points from yesterday's games, Croatia versus Japan and Brazil versus South Korea. So we'll start with the previews. So in this Morocco versus Spain game, Morocco have been a really good side throughout the tournament and quite a surprise, I think. They have got a really good squad, but I wasn't really expecting them to top the group like they did. But that being said, I still think Spain are going to be the best team to target in this fixture. I think they're the most likely to go through. And we'll start with the striker position because it's been a weird one. Asensio started the first two games as like a false nine, and he's only 3 million, and he's down as a midfielder. So that's obviously a really good option. Who scored actually have Morata as their starting striker in their predicted lineup that you can see on the right-hand side here. And Morata has actually got a better return in terms of goals and assists. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist so far in this tournament, but he's actually only started one game, which was the final game, but he has come on and scored some important goals. He's now also Spain's highest point scorer on Sun Dream Team, with 23 points in total. And then on to Asensio, who I mentioned. So he started the first 2 games as a false nine, and I think he did pretty well. But he has only got 1 goal and no assists so far. So I'm interested to see who starts. He's on 8 points, so obviously 8 points versus 23 points. Morata has been a much better option on Dream Team, even though he hasn't really been starting that many games. But personally, I actually think I'm going to go against who scored, and I think they might start Asensio in this game, but we'll wait and see. You can obviously check the lineups before the game, before you make your transfers, bringing these players in if you want. And then 2 other players that I think would be quite good to target is Olmo at 3.5 million. He's a midfielder, and he's had a really good tournament so far. So far he's had 1 goal, 1 assist and 1 star man. And you can see in that who scored preview in the top right, they also give their average rating as well. So he's a 7.23, which is pretty high. And then you've got Ferran Torres as well at 4.5 million. He's not a player that I've had in my team at the minute so far, but he's actually down as a striker in that wing position. So it is always a little bit better if you can have someone like Olmo's down as a midfielder, or Asensio is a midfielder but he was playing up front. I always do like those sorts of players. But Ferran Torres has got 2 goals so far, and he did take a penalty, so I think he probably is their penalty taker. The only thing is I'm not sure whether he still is if Morata's on the pitch. But that is a bonus having Torres. He does take penalties. Personally, in my teams, I've got Olmo and Asensio in a few of them. And then a player that I'll come on to who I have had previously, but he isn't in my current teams, is Alba. So in defence at 4 million, he's got 3 assists in 3 games. And he's had a really good attacking threat so far this tournament. He's on 21 points so far. He'd probably be a bit higher up in the overall defensive rankings if Spain had just kept some more clean sheets. But they are a really strong side, Spain, and I do expect them to get through this game, and potentially then they could play Portugal in the next round if Portugal go on to win. But it's going to be tough. They're going to have potentially Portugal and then the winner of England versus France. So not going to be a good run for whoever gets through on this side of the draw. Then on to Portugal versus Switzerland, and I've got the Portugal predicted lineup from who scored in that top right corner. I haven't put the Switzerland one just because I think that Portugal are probably going to be the best options to go through. Bruno Fernandes has been by far their best Dream Team asset so far. He's 4.5 million on the game, and he's got 29 points, so the highest point scorer for Portugal, and one of the highest point scorers in the game. He's averaging 14.5 points per game. I don't think he took part in that 3rd game, but I still think he's the best value pick from Portugal, and he's got 2 goals and 2 assists in total. The other picks I'd go for would probably be Ronaldo or João Felix, but they haven't been anywhere near Fernandes' level so far in this tournament in terms of Dream Team points and attacking returns. But Ronaldo at 7 million, he's only got 1 goal so far, and has probably been a little bit disappointing. I know he'd probably be disappointed with his output so far. And then João Felix has looked dangerous, but he's also only got the 1 goal. So they're the other 2 options. Felix at 4 mil or Ronaldo at 7 mil. I think I'd try and fit Bruno Fernandes in if you haven't got him already. Then looking at the defence, Portugal have only kept 1 clean sheet so far, so I wouldn't think about going too heavy on them. You've got Cancelo, who's always a really good option on normal Sun Dream Team. Always getting a rating, and he's always up there for star man. But he has had 2 ratings so far in the World Cup, so still a fairly good return. But that's only equated to like 9 points in total, so not a good return from Cancelo, to be honest, in total. Unless he's getting some attacking returns, I don't think 6 million is something I'd like to go near. Someone a bit cheaper that you might be willing to take a punt on is Guerrero on the other side, so left back. He's 3.5 million and he's had 1 assist so far. But again, none of these players have really scored many points at the back just because they've only kept 1 clean sheet. And again, like I said, for Spain, if you are going to get a defender in, it's looking like it's going to be a tough run ahead. So potentially Spain in the next round and then France or England in the round following that. I don't think I'd be that confident about having a Portugal defender at the moment. Then on to our match day recaps for yesterday. And it was Brazil 4, Korea 1. And 4 goals scored by Brazil in the first half. They really did run away with it quickly. And as someone who's got quite a lot of Brazil players, I was actually expecting that they could come out and score quite a few more than that, but actually all the goals were scored in the first half for Brazil. And then it was a late goal from Korea at the end, which broke the hearts of people that had Brazilian defenders in their team, so that was quite disappointing. But we'll start with the star man, which was Richarlison. He's 5.5 million, the new R9. He's got 3 goals in 3 games, and that's 2 star man awards as well. An 8.3 rating here and 15 points, so a really good showing from him. And he just looks like a different animal playing for Brazil. For one of the goals, I can't remember if it was his goal or not, but he was literally juggling the ball on his head, like playing with such confidence. It was unreal. And he actually got the points. It doesn't show as an assist here, but he got the points also for the penalty goal that was scored by Neymar. He was caught by one of the Korea players as he sort of tried to nip in and get the ball off him and won the penalty, so they get the assist points for that on Dream Team. Then you had Neymar at 7 million. He was back after his injury in the first game. He got a goal and an assist in this one, so 10 points, quite a good return there. And then Vinicius Junior, I was glad that I kept the faith in him because he's 6 million and he hadn't really returned that much so far. But he got a goal and an assist in this game, and he looked like he had a really great performance. He set up a goal for Paqueta as well, who was someone annoyingly that I had right at the start, but he kept getting subbed off and he wasn't really returning, so I did end up moving him on. But the Vinicius Junior assist for Paqueta, he just like scooped the ball, like a little lob over the top for the Paqueta finish, and it was lovely to watch. And then you had Thiago Silva in defence, 5.5 million, so he's quite expensive, but he did get an assist in this game and a 7.3 rating. So he was the only person from that Brazil defence that got any points. And that's why that last goal from Korea in the second, or the only goal from Korea in the second half, was a bit of a heartbreaker, because I know a lot of people, myself included, went quite heavy on the Brazil defence. I had quite a mixture. I'm doing the full 5 teams. So I did have Thiago Silva in a few teams, which I was fairly happy about. But in this team that I'm about to show you, I only had Danilo, who was coming back from injury, and he actually replaced Sandro, who was a really good option to start with, but he was actually injured for this game, which caught me out. And then Militao started on the other side as well. But yeah, disappointing if you had defenders in this game, but I think it was the right call to do it. It just didn't play out, and we found that over the course of a lot of these games. If you go for a block, I'd say apart from the England block, which didn't work in the first game, but apart from the England block, there's been a few that have let us down. I think Holland looked quite good for the block, and then they've conceded a couple goals that in games where you thought that they were going to get the clean sheet point. So it's been a hard strategy to get right this time round. But Brazil go through and they'll face Croatia in the next round. So I'd be quite happy to keep any of those. If you have bought any Brazil players, I'd be quite happy to stick with them for that game. Especially Richarlison, because he's looking brilliant. And Gabriel Jesus is now injured as well. So it looks like Richarlison's going to be the main man and probably not going to be getting substituted that much. And then Japan versus Croatia. So we had our first game that went to extra time and penalties, and it ended up with Croatia winning. But the first goal was scored by Maeda and assisted by Yoshida as well. Used to be at Southampton, I think. But yes, Japan done really well this tournament. They've put a good shift in, but just unlucky for them in this game. Croatia just always seem to get it done in these knockout stages, and even getting through the group. They never look entirely great, but they always seem to get through. and it was Perisic at 4 million who got a really good headed goal in this game. I've still got him actually in my best team, and I was really disappointed with him after the first game. But in that second game, he got 2 assists, and he's looked pretty good since then. So he got a goal in this one and 7.5 rating. And in total, he's got 2 assists, 1 goal, and 2 7 ratings. And then Lovren got an assist as well. And surprisingly, he's the 5th highest defender in the game at the moment. We were looking at people like Gvardiol and Sosa as the sort of 2 best options in defence for Croatia. But actually, it's the old Liverpool man, Lovren, that's... he's top of their ratings at the minute. Sosa, who we mentioned, he was out of this game with a virus, so yeah, a bit disappointing if you had him, because I mean, if I had him in my team going into this game, I don't know if I would have specifically swapped him for another Croatia player. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. But Croatia won on penalties, and it was their keeper that got the star man. You don't get any points for penalty saves, but I imagine it probably does improve their overall rating if you end up winning the game for your team through penalty saves. I imagine that chips into your rating, and he got an 8.1 in this game, so yeah, he got the star man here. Then on to my team update. So I'll start with just my full lineups. I've got Noppert in goal, I've got Danilo, Militao, Shaw, Maguire, Olmo, Vinicius Jr, Asensio, Messi, Gakpo, Richarlison. So 25 points for the day, and that was scored from Vinicius Jr and Richarlison combined. Danilo and Militao were 2 players that, well, Danilo, Militao and Richarlison I brought in actually in this in that match day. I was planning to bring Sandro in, but he was injured for this game, so I went Danilo instead, and he was actually $1 million cheaper. So Danilo, Militao and Richarlison came in for Trippier, Ake and Harry Kane. So disappointed that I didn't get the clean sheet points, but 25 points is still a pretty decent return, so I'm not too bothered by that. And if you'd seen my strategy video for the knockouts, which you can check out on my channel, I'm trying to move to more Brazil because I do think they're going to go furthest in the tournament, and I think they've just got a bit of a better run playing Croatia in the next round. But yeah, 25 points for the day. That's 257 points in total now, which isn't great. It's not... I do the full 5 teams. You can make 5 teams in Dream Team. And this isn't one of my best ones, but it's 7.4k overall in the overall rankings. And I've got 14 transfers left in this team. My best team is currently on 288 points, which is 1.6k in the overall rankings. I think I'd be relatively happy if I could manage to dip under that 1k mark for that team. But that's 47 points off being in the top 100, so I don't think that's going to be achievable unless the people that are currently below me have got barely any transfers left. But we'll see how we do. But overall, my team's doing quite well in mini leagues. So as I said, I've got 14 transfers left in my team that you can see on the screen here. I did bring in Militao, Danilo and Richarlison. I'm happy to keep those. To play in today, I'll only have Olmo and Asensio, but Olmo was someone who I've just brought in recently for this Morocco game, so I hope he does start. I went a bit early on that transfer. I do have my doubts on whether Asensio will start. I think he'll start over Morata, but it does look like those 2 players are quite interchangeable, so that'll be a little bit annoying if he ends up playing only half a game or something like that. But 3 mil, I'm happy to take that. The one thing I am looking at, so again, I mentioned that strategy video that I did, but I showed a World Cup predictor and who I thought would go the furthest, and plotted my transfers along the way. So I had an idea of how many I could end up with if I made the changes that I wanted. And I got to the final with the end of the semi-final with about potentially 10 transfers left. So I do know that if I do want to make some unexpected transfers, I have really got some spare to do that with. And I'm starting to think that I might like to bring Jordi Alba potentially in for Shaw or Maguire. I'm really not feeling confident about that England versus France game, so I'm potentially thinking Alba could be a good one against Morocco. So I'll wait and see the lineups, but that's one I've got my eye on. 4 million, it would probably be a straight swap out for Harry Maguire. I'm just looking at it and thinking, if I get Alba in, he could play against Morocco and then he could play against Portugal, which I think is definitely a better likelihood of scoring points than Harry Maguire getting the victory against France and then going on to the next round. So yeah, that's what my transfer plans are for the moment, but Olmo and Asensio definitely to play, and then Alba potentially coming into this side. That is everything for today's video, so thanks for watching. And if you've taken anything valuable from it, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more Sun World Cup content. And also I'm going to put a link at the end of this video to my strategy for the knockout stages, just in case you think you need a little bit of help there. But I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for watching.